Hello, I'm Jonathan Moyes, Head of Investment Research at Wealth Club, and today I'm with Julian Dennard of Mercia Asset Management to talk about the Mercia Knowledge Intensive EIS Fund. Hello Julian, welcome to the studio. Firstly, could you give us a bit of background to Mercia and your own experience?
Yeah, sure. Mercia was established in 2010 and is currently listed on AIM. It's a specialist asset manager that specialises in investing across the regions of the UK, including the southeast. We have 4 different asset classes, that's venture, growth capital, debt and our own proprietary balance sheet. I guess the largest part of that, the assets under management, are our venture funds. And we have a complete connected capital model which aims to invest early through our funds and scale the businesses that we invest in over time with increasingly larger amounts of capital and supported by our own balance sheet, so that over time we can invest substantial amounts of capital into each of our successful businesses.
And your own experience?
I've been a venture capital investor since 2006, always focused on the regions of the UK. For the first 10 years of that, I managed a fund down in the southwest of the UK. And then since 2016, when I joined Mercia, I've been responsible for some of our regional early stage funds and now latterly our EIS funds.
And so we're here today to talk about the Knowledge Intensive EIS Fund. What does it aim to do for investors?
So that's a fund that we'll be looking to deploy within 1 year and generate 3 times capital return for our investors, including loss and income tax relief. The hold period for those assets is typically 5 to 7 years, and we'll be looking to invest in between 8 and 12 portfolio companies, depending on the size of the fund, so that we get proper portfolio diversification. In terms of investment strategy, clearly it's knowledge intensive, so the focus will be more on life sciences and deep and enabling tech, although depending on the company in question, there will be some software investments in there too. So that gives you a flavour of the kind of investment strategy that we're looking to deploy.
And in terms of the investee companies that you're looking to invest in, what are the key characteristics that they need to have?
So I think, in terms of the businesses themselves, we're clearly looking to back ambitious teams with global aspirations. These are businesses we're trying to scale to be large and significant businesses. So, targeting big, typically global markets. So ambition is a key part of our thinking here around the team. The market opportunity and also the product within the market. So clearly defined market, clearly defined product.
And in terms of sectors, you mentioned a few sectors there.
Yeah.
What are you looking for? Is there a rough split of?
No, I think we're flexible on the split between sectors. To a degree, it depends on the quality of the opportunities that we see. We've got a very good life sciences team within Mercia, and I think you can look at our track record in that space, and a developing track record in deep tech. So we're looking to pool the resources that we've got within the business and in those areas, as well as leveraging the non-execs and the venture partners that we've got associated with Mercia to kind of give us the skills to make some really interesting investments.
Sure. So how do you, I suppose, before you make an investment, you've got to find them?
Correct.
How do you source these investments?
So I think that's one of the key strengths of Mercia. Mercia is a regional investor and it has regional offices. That means we're on the ground every day. We're building relationships with local companies, with local networks, and that means that hopefully we get to see some of these opportunities before they come to a broker or more widely circulated. So sometimes we can be aware of opportunities some years before they're ready to be invested in. So I think that's the key for Mercia. We're on the ground, we've got people on the ground, we've got relationships that we're building every day, and that brings us some really good quality opportunities, hopefully before our London counterparts.
And how much are you typically investing in these companies, and what's the typical round size?
So the round size can vary significantly, but from the knowledge intensive fund, again, it really depends on the size of the fund in question, but anywhere between an initial check of 750,000 up to 2 million from the knowledge intensive fund. And the round sizes that we're typically looking at kind of depend on the company in question. So for life sciences and deep tech, those round sizes can be quite significant. So for example, we're just participating in a round alongside other Mercia assets that's 11 million in size. So that's an existing EIS asset that we're looking to deploy the knowledge intensive fund into. So some quite sizable rounds, but looking to deploy significant amounts of capital from that fund.
Okay. And is the current environment affecting the way you're investing?
It is, but I think actually we're seeing this as quite a positive change. If over the last 24 months, I think there's been a lot of inflation in valuations and a lot of capital hunting for fewer and fewer opportunities. And I think the current environment is impacting both of those elements. Valuations are starting to come down to more sensible levels, to more historic levels. And also capital, some of the capitalists being a little bit more cautious about investing. So for us, we're still seeing lots of really good opportunities and hopefully at more measured valuation levels so that we've got the opportunity to get into some of these really good investments at good valuation. So for us, we like to invest through the cycle. And in fact, some of our best investments and best returns have come in moments like this.
So could you talk us through some recent investments you've made in the Mercia EIS fund?
Yeah, so in terms of the knowledge intensive fund particularly, we've just made an investment into a business called Optellum. That's an AI-based lung cancer diagnostic tool, a software tool that helps improve lung cancer diagnosis. As I said, I've just mentioned Axis. We're looking to finalise our investment in Axis Spine. That's for the treatment of back degeneration and other investments that would be applicable are things like Locate Bio, an existing Mercia EIS asset that's in regenerative medicine. So those are the kind of investments that we have been making and would look to make into the new fund.
And so if we look at your existing portfolio, are there any particular highlights, any particular companies you'd pick out?
So again, Locate Bio is one of those stars. It's attracted investment from a number of different Mercia assets. It's just going through animal trials now, which have produced very, very positive outcomes. So that asset looks extremely promising. Secondly, Axis Spine, again, we're just putting another 11 million into that business to really scale that opportunity out across the US particularly. So some really good opportunities that we're investing in.
So besides funding, what do you do practically to help these companies succeed?
So Mercia is a very active investor, and we do get involved in the companies on a day-to-day and a week-to-week basis, helping them with both fundraising and commercial strategy, helping them with the construction of their board, and also helping them recruit and retain the right talent. We've got a couple of people that we employ within Mercia to help support the attraction of talent to these businesses to really give them the best chance of succeeding.
And then you've got the Mercia balance sheet capital as well, which
Correct.
can come in and help.
That's right. So once these businesses get to a really kind of scale up stage and need more capital to raise more capital, then we can look at it from our own balance sheet perspective and look to invest bigger sums of capital than can be provided from our EIS funds.
How big a part of the pitch is that when you're looking to win deals?
So I think that's a pretty big part of the attraction of a Mercia as an investor. We can go from a very small amount of capital, perhaps 300,000 in the very smallest cases, right up to say 7 million first investment, but then up to 15 in total capital. If you count all of the funds investing over the life cycle of a business. So for a company that's pretty attractive, it can have a single investor that can help it scale throughout the lifetime of its existence.
And so I guess the ultimate goal is exits. Have you got any exits that you can talk about?
Yeah, so I think that's one thing, as I mentioned at the outset, Mercia is quite a young company. It was only founded in 2010 and it takes time to build and grow these companies into exit. And we've just started to get some really interesting exits starting to come through the EIS funds. You've got Oxgene, the first one, which is a biotech business that was bought by WuXi. That generated over a 10 times return for about 5 of our funds, and in some cases returned multiple times the fund. So, that's just starting to come through. We had another business called C7 where we invested a very small amount of capital, and that sold very recently and generated a 14 times return for the fund. So they are starting to now come through, and but these take time. So, but the fund performance is improving day by day, week by week, and is now amongst the top performers.
I guess whilst we're on the subject of profitable exits, it's also worth mentioning that this is a fairly risky investment strategy, fairly risky part of the market. How risky would you say investing in your part of the market
So
is?
I think if you take a standard rule of thumb, you look at for a third of your assets to fail, a third to be in the middle ground, and a third to be successful. I think what we do with our active strategy is try and change that balance such that we get less failures and more winners. I think our failure rate is running at about 15% right now, so sort of half the kind of expected rate. And that's just by trying to intervene and support these companies in a more structured way to give them a better chance of succeeding.
And so to sum up then, Julian, for those who are looking to invest in an EIS fund this year, why should they consider the Mercia Knowledge Intensive EIS fund?
So I think there's a number of different benefits. I mean, Mercia is a large investor with a broad number of opportunities that it looks at each year. It's a national investor, but with a regional focus. So we're seeing other opportunities that maybe other investors don't. We've got the ability to deploy the fund within 12 months. And our track record suggests that we're now starting to generate the 3 times return that we're targeting. So I think there's some really good opportunities for new investors into this fund.
Very good. Julian Dennard of Mercia Asset Management, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jonathan.